On the wall says 6 p.m., so does my laptop, so I will call this regular city council meeting of Monday, February 9th, 2026 to order at 6 p.m. We could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Jenkins?
Yes.
Van Allsburg?
Here.
Rhines? Gilroy?
Here.
Ludwig?
Here.
Hanson?
Here.
Haynes?
Here.
Councilman Rhines did reach out to myself and also city manager that he would not be able to attend this evening, so I would entertain a motion to excuse his absence.
Motion to excuse Mr. Ryan.
All right, thank you, and do I have support?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for approval of this evening's agenda unless there are changes that need to be made.
Move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have support? Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an opportunity for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. If there's anybody that would like to come forward at this time. All right, moving along on our agenda, we have a presentation from Adam Spina, our school superintendent, regarding school construction project update, and he was kind enough to bring the report with him. So Adam, thank you so much for being here this evening. Happy New Year and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. The same. Forgive me, I'm fighting a cold. I think my whole family's been sick since Christmas. So it's been a good time so far this winter. But I'll do my best to push through this.
All right.
So some updates. This summer will probably be the most involved facilities set of projects in probably recent history, probably going back to like the mid 2005-06 range. It's going to be extremely busy and a lot going on. There's a lot of big ticket items, and then there's just a lot of like medium and smaller projects that are in some cases quite extensive, even though they won't be as visible as some of the others. Focusing on some of the bond projects, which I think is probably what you're most interested in. Ongoing right now, we have our softball facility construction behind the middle school. That is on pace to be finished in time for the season to start. That is 2 years ahead of schedule, according to the initial plan, and should be ready for the girls to play their spring season, which we're really excited about. So most of the money that is in the field. The big issue with the softball facility was drainage, and when it rained at all, the girls would miss multiple days of being able to practice and compete, and that will be solved. But they do have some nice dugouts, coach's box, and a very nice concession building that will include restrooms. This summer as well, so then shifting to summer projects, the first one to bring your attention is the community pool HVAC project. I touched on this back in, I think, September or October when we had the joint meeting with the township. This is quite involved, even though it's very limited in its scope. So basically the pool was built around the HVAC system back in '91. There was no way to get it out. So to get it out, they're going to have to put a hole in the roof, deconstruct the old one, and then drop the new one in and install it. As of right now, we anticipate that project starting on May 1st and concluding sometime in mid-July. Once we get 100% on that from our construction manager, we'll be getting that word out to the community and all the members of the pool and fitness center. It's just one of those things that has to happen. And one of the nice things that we're doing is we're putting in what's called a Bilco hatch on the top of the roof. So 30 years from now, when that system needs to come out again, they won't have to take the roof apart. They can just pull the hatch out and pull it out. So 30 years from now, there'll be some superintendent and school board that'll be really happy we did that. High school paving, another project. The entire parking lot at the high school is going to be repaved. Just stay away from the high school this summer. It's going to be quite the scene. The entire high school parking lot is going to be repaved this summer, which if you've been over there recently, you'll know is much needed. The high school and middle school are also having significant flooring upgrades in classrooms and in common areas throughout both of those buildings. And in a non-bond funded project, we're replacing all the cabling infrastructure in the middle of the high school and hopefully moving over to the elementary schools by the end of the summer. That's to support the new phone system that was part of the bond. So a lot going on with that. I think your main area of interest is Explore Elementary, and so I'm going to go over a few things. I've given you a kind of a packet that we can point back to if needed during some of the highlights here that I'll talk through. So based on what I think you're looking for, first is kind of the timeline for how all this is going to play out. Starting this Friday, we're going to put in temporary parking in what's now the Explorer staff parking lot. And that is to make up for the parking spaces that will be lost once construction begins. Between the 17th of February and the 28th of February, construction fencing will be put up in that area. You can kind of see a little bit of that on the last page of your handout. All of those pages are all publicly accessible documents except for the last page. They've all been posted on our website. Last page will go out in my newsletter this Friday, showing parents actually primarily the walkway that they can use to get down the safe routes, the school sidewalk that accesses the elementary campus from Van Etter. On the 2nd of March, that's when construction is supposed to start. On the 1st of April, or no later than the 1st of April, the trees that will need to be cleared out and some of those spaces that are home to the bat that lives there, those will be removed so the bat doesn't nest or whatever it is bats do. So that will meet that environmental criteria. And the trees are being cleared so there's space to put the land, the soil, the dirt that's being excavated out from the project and kind of spread that out in that area. On the 4th of May, skipping ahead a month, there's a projected groundbreaking ceremony. I'll get more information out to the City Council for that, but we'd love to see you there if you could be part of that. It'll be a significant event for the community. And then a couple other notes. Somewhere in the winter or fall of 2026 is when the, as we call them, the greenhouse on Raleigh Road, that kind of eyesore that's been there for a long time, it needs to come down. And then the yellow house on Highland, both those will come down in that period of time. The greenhouse isn't necessarily related to the construction itself, it just needs to go away. And we'll use that as a kind of a place to stage building materials and some other logistical purpose. And the yellow house obviously coming down is imperative to correcting that offset four-way intersection and making that navigable for vehicle traffic. The overall timeline for the project, it's scheduled to be completed in August of 2027, so it's going to be about a 1.5 year endeavor. And then once that is completed, we will pivot to renovating the circle, which I think most of us have been in Williamston a long time know what I'm referring to, but that's literally the circular building that is now the majority of Explorer Elementary. That will become the art hub area-related curriculum. That's your Spanish and music and STEAM and those types of classes, art. They'll all be housed in that area. And as well as some additional renovations to what will become the early childhood and preschool wing and the Discovery Elementary. Traffic, I know, is a point of interest. So we had, prior to the construction project beginning, the engineers assessed that on a typical day we have about 84 vehicles that are queued up in city streets looking to access what is now that dirt turnaround car loop next to Discovery Elementary. I can tell you that 84 is a nice number, but having stood out there for a long time, many years, that's very much subject to a lot of secondary and tertiary types of characteristics. So if it's snowing, if it's raining, if there's a special event, if it's a half day especially, there's going to be many more than 84 vehicles. But that's what they kind of assessed as a typical day. The current design that you can see in your handout has enough space for up to 98 queuing and drop-off spaces. And while can't guarantee that's going to get all the vehicles off the city streets because of some of those, like I said, unique circumstances or weather conditions, it's definitely going to assist in getting the vast majority of those vehicles that have been queued up on city streets out of those neighborhoods and onto school property during arrival and dismissal. The Ingham County Road Department requested a traffic study that was conducted, and all the proposed intersections received passing ratings according to the level of service analysis that was done. So we are in good shape there according to that assessment. The road department has also not indicated a line of sight concern on Raleigh. I know that's traditionally come up as a potential issue as something like this project has been discussed for probably, 20 or 30 years. And so that has not come up from them to date. The road department did ask, and we did agree to extend out the school zone on Raleigh. I think that will supersede the city's jurisdiction, but it will be a little further down on Raleigh once the project is completed. I did want to mention East Riverside and Highland. That is one area where, again, we'll know for sure unfortunately, once this is built. But we do anticipate that the traffic flow through that intersection, if you're trying to travel from Riverside into the drop-off lane, that will be slower than what it might be or could otherwise be, but that's kind of done intentionally. That's really not how we want vehicles to access that drop-off loop. We prefer that they turn left on Highland. It's safer, it's easier to manage. And in fact, we don't even let our staff, now we can only control our staff. We don't let our staff, and actually I guess we don't really let anybody, drive through that intersection now. There's kids, there's a lot of stuff going on. And even though this will be much safer than our current setup, it's still not the preferred way of accessing that drop-off loop. So it will probably be slower. I think that'll just be something parents learn with time and practice. That happens every school year. The first couple of days of the school, even in our current system, are a little chaotic, and then after a couple of weeks they get the hang of it and they know how that system should work. So those were the highlights as far as timeline. The work that's been done doing the traffic study analysis. I did include some other pictures and diagrams in your packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the project.
Go ahead, Terry.
I'm looking at this picture right here. It looks to me like there's 3 lanes that go east to west there, and the south lane, are those all like parking spots there?
So those are, yeah, so it's going to look like, if you've been, to DTW, it's going to look like Arrivals, right? So there's some organized, there's a method to the madness, and even though it's going to be a little bit, it's like parents are going to have to kind of figure out how that process works. But the lanes to the south, I think, as you're looking at it, those are the drop-off and pick-up locations.
Yep.
So that's where we want the vehicles to actually stage. They would open their right car door, child would get out onto the sidewalk, we'd have staff there, close the door, they move out into one of the northern lanes, and then they move out on the way onto Raleigh.
Looks like there's like 30 of them.
There's, I think there's some set up for both Discovery and Elementary, so there's like two sets.
Wow.
And that's a pretty large footprint. It looks a little smaller on the diagram, but if you actually get out there, that's a really long drive that's going to be running there. So the footprint's much bigger than what it actually looks like on the diagram. We envision, and again, this will be something we'll have to teach and work with our parents on. That northernmost lane in the mornings is kind of like the fast pass lane, so to speak, for staff to get to their parking lot. So you can see that parking lot on the easternmost end of the building. That's designed for the Explorer staff to park. And so ideally in the mornings, we'd like that northernmost lane free so staff can get in their parking spaces and then get to their classrooms.
So, Chief, are you gonna feel unneeded anymore without having to be out there doing the?
I don't think that'd be an issue, but no, we've actually had meetings with the schools and Dr. Spina about the traffic flow,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be a good, the best situation it can be.
Someday they'll tell horror stories about the way we used to do the traffic.
It'll be the.
This road wasn't even here, you can't believe it.
Right.
It'll be the remember when. Chief and Dr. Spina, my question for you is, with this new, where Riverside is going to extend now along the north side of the school, is that going to turn into like a 4-way stop for Highland and Riverside, or what does that look like?
No, that will not include a 4-way stop.
Okay.
That will be traffic flow, if I'm right, Dr. Spina, moving southbound on Highland into the parking lot,
Okay.
a constant flow.
Okay. And we all know it's about education, right? So you guys have, once we get to 2027, you're going to have a really good plan in place for parents and the community and all of that. Do we have any concerns regarding construction for our residents that surround this area? And are we reaching out or doing any type of information sessions for the residents that live on Highland Church in that area?
Yeah, I've talked to many of the neighbors that are on Highland, certainly not all of them, but they're, the main concern we've heard from residents around there over the last several years since this was proposed was drainage, making sure that, because there is kind of a gradient there running down to Raleigh Church from the school, that didn't get worse. So we've really made sure that during the planning phases, we made sure that runoff and drainage would not be an issue. In fact, one of the major developments you can see in your handout is the construction of that drainage basin that will be catching that runoff, so that won't be running down into those neighborhoods. Fortunately, the construction of the the new drop-off pickup lane is going to have, I think, minimal impact on the neighborhood or on the residents on Highland. That's going to be in a very condensed period of time, kind of the entrance portion of that. And most of the construction is going to be back to the east of the current Explorer Elementary, which is pretty secluded from most of the residential areas. There's all those playing fields that are out there,
Right.
the woods, and so it's not going to be like right in someone's backyard.
Right.
So I think that'll help considerably.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
Scott?
is the population at the elementary school staying stable as the years go by, going up, down? What's happening?
I would say it's stayed stable. I mean, we've discussed this ad nauseum over the years, right? That you know we're strongly relying on school choice. That's part of the reason,
Right.
although not the only reason. We have the traffic that we do. No, I'd say the enrollment as a whole has definitely stayed stable, even an uptick at times. Obviously, we've had some ups and downs. You know, COVID had an impact, but for the most part, it's been stable.
Anything else for Dr. Spina? Yes, John?
Yeah, I had two, but now you kind of freaked me out, so I actually have three.
Okay.
You're not intending to extend Riverside as a street across Highland, are you? Just as an entryway? I mean,
You mean
Riverside's
like-
not going to continue.
Right, no,
As an
because it's
actual
private
street.
property, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. So on Google, this has been kind of a joke of ours for years. It shows the Explorer parking lot as East Riverside, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you can't. I don't know how that works, but it's always
You're not
been there.
gonna-
So, but that is the. It's not East Riverside. It's not Riverside, but it is the
Extension from it.
the
in
lane
parking
that
lot.
vehicles will take to bring and pick up their children from school.
Okay, but not as an actual street.
Right.
It's no, I would not consider it a continuation of the street.
City
And the
street.
second thing is, where do you intend to do the thinning of the trees?
So that's going to be in the area around, again, we refer to it as the greenhouse, so if you go to the corner of Van Etter and Raleigh Church, it's just to the south of that intersection, obviously not including the private
By
property.
the cart path?
By the cart path.
The old, I think what he's talking about is the old lane that used to come out onto Raleigh Road, that there's the planters there that kind of block that off.
Yeah.
That's where the greenhouse is at, right?
That's correct, so it's to the east of that pathway.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then, when Ingham County did their road study for the traffic flow on Raleigh, when was that in relationship to the development for the condominiums? Because that's my major concern.
So it wasn't done by Ingham County. We did, they requested that we did it. It was done by a company called Tetra Tech. And those results were sent to the department for analysis, so, or for review, I guess you could say. So we have not heard any issues. The assessment came back, as like I said, with passing grades.
Was the study aware of your development as well as the condominium development?
I don't know if it was or not. I know it was highlighted in the report that we sent out that area was under development. Obviously, they would need to have their own assessment in terms of their access out onto Raleigh, so I can't speak to that specifically.
Anything else for Dr. Spina? Thank you so much. Very nice and very long road to get here, but glad to see that this is moving forward for the school district.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, moving along on our agenda, we have our council meeting minutes of January 26, 2026. I'm looking for approval unless there are changes that need to be noted.
Move to approve council meeting minutes of January 26th.
Thank you. Do I have support? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Terry, you had an opportunity to review accounts payable and tell us where did the money go?
Okay, what happened to all that money? This time it's pretty thin. But the usual thing where most of the money was spent by sending it to other government organizations, this time the number was 73%. 73% of the money, of $180,000, went to other government organizations. And there's nothing really interesting or curious in this month's, this particular tranche. But I wanted to present sort of a summary. I've been doing this for about a year and a half, 2 years now, something like that. And I try, every time these come around, I try to have one or two questions for John. And I want to let you all know that I sometimes they're kind of, sort of softball questions like, why is there a drain thing and why do we have to pay them and things like that. Sometimes they're a little bit more pointed, like why do we drive 12 miles out of town to Randy's service station to get gas for our DPW people? You know, and
Which we don't.
Randy's brings the gas into us.
Right.
And they sell it to us with a bulk discount.
That's
So I'm a small government kind of guy. I've lived in a communist country. I really don't like government. But every time I have a question about the budget and where the money goes, every time I have a question, there's a reasonable answer. And after all this time, I trust the city staff with the way they spend money.
Yeah.
So
They do a good
that's
job.
my experience. And I'm a detail guy, I'm a numbers guy, I'm an engineer, so I'm compiling lots and lots of data, details and stuff, and that's my nature. And so the summary is, you can trust these guys.
Great,
Okay?
thank you, Terry. So, your motion?
My motion, move to approve checks 78853 to 78868 and ACH 2031 to 2057 for a grand total of $183,875.86.
All right, thank you. We have support. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Hanson,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
All right, moving along to our single action item for this evening. It is our poverty exemption resolution. I'm going to turn this over to our city manager, and he can explain what this is, and we can move that motion forward.
Thank you, good evening. This is something that's presented annually. What this does is it sets the poverty exemption requirements for folks who wish to appeal to the Board of Review in March and or April for relief. And it does establish guidelines based on federal poverty income standards, and those are included in the table there. And beyond that, I can read all this to you, but there's certain different public acts that provide the ability for folks that can make the appeal. And then ultimately, the Board of Review can grant, deny, or grant impartial relief from paying taxes. Happy to answer any questions you may have, but as far as the resolution, it's fairly standard and consistent from years past.
And I think all of us have been on council long enough to know that this is something that is an annual item and that it is available to our residents. So I'm looking for that motion to move it forward. Scott?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to adopt guidelines for applicants requesting consideration for poverty exemption for 2026.
Thank you so much. Do I have support? Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Ludwig,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
All right, that concludes our action items for this evening. Moving along, we have our discussion items. Yes.
An unrelated question.
Yes.
What happened to the microphones?
Died. They
They
died.
died.
Oh, we gotta get new ones.
Were they fake or something? So, okay, so that's our microphone, got it, okay. I was just kind of curious, because.
Oh, good observation. Holly's got us covered. Alrighty, discussion items, our main for safety improvements. John, do you have any information for us?
I do. I had a meeting today with Phil Westmoreland and Mike Niderqual from Spicer, and I think I lost count after 8 representatives from MDOT who met virtually to talk about the main four. They had some questions. Anytime you are going to do work in the state highway on the right of way, you have to submit it's called a permit. And they had some questions on the permit. To kind of like encapsulate our discussions, they would like to see an updated synchro model. We shared that when we were discussing road act before. It's actually the model based on traffic counts. So they want to see an updated model, updated traffic counts. So we're going to be discussing that process with MDOT, in the very near future. One of the things that's running on a parallel track is the signal improvements. And we did make the request to have mast arms, which are just like they sound, where instead of a signal on a string, which we have now, we would have the mast arms. We're waiting on some final pricing for that. What that will do ultimately, and we talked about this today, will allow the facilitation will be easier to add the signal housing with basically 4 spots, so we have a left turn lane. And it's somewhat frustrating. It's a little bit of a chicken or the egg that we can't have left turn lane without the signal, but they won't change the signal without a left turn lane, so we're pushing back on that a little bit.
Right.
They did say that on North and South Putnam, because those are out of the influence of M43 Grand River, that we would be able to, through a permit, they'd have to review it with the updated models, they would be able to allow that turn lanes. There's sort of a de facto situation with that now. So. And they did bring back up that they would likely have to go through, for their sake, back to the public involvement process that was similar to what we did with the road diet.
Sure.
So the likelihood of the Grand River having turn lanes this year is probably not very good.
Yeah.
There is a possibility for North and South Putnam. So we'll continue meeting with them, and they did say the signal project, they're bundling those, and this is a good thing, you know, as residents of the state, it's good, they're bundling all their signal projects for the university region, and they're gonna let them at the same time to get a better price, so
Sure.
they expect our project to take place. It's a July 1 letting, so they expect that the work here wouldn't be done until 2027, spring of 2027.
And because, just a minute, Terry, because we've gone through all of these exercises with them previously, and I know that data and everything is not going to be up to date for them, but do we have the ability to try to expedite and nudge this along at a little bit faster pace as far as the traffic study and the synchro model?
Well, I mean, I talked to Mr. Westmoreland after the meeting, just him and I, and that throttle is up to us. And he did say he's going to push back a little bit on the need to have revised counts. It makes sense, but I don't think the patterns have changed a whole lot. So it's really a question of, like, you know, obviously we're going to do traffic counts. The two critical times are school pickup and school drop off, and when the buses go through town, both in the morning and the afternoon. So that'll be part of it, but it's a question of, like, you know, do we have to count, and this came up in the meeting, do we have to do 4 season counts? Do we have to do a week long in each season? And you know, they didn't really give a definitive answer.
Terry?
Is the road diet dead and gone with a stake through its heart?
Well, I mean, that's, frankly, I mean, we get to make that determination
Yeah.
if we want to resurrect that or not. It did come up today that their preference would be to have back to the old model of from Zimmer Road all the way to our eastern edge. And I said that in the current situation, I said we can say with 100% confidence, we're not interested in that.
Right. Last question from me on this. How does this affect our updates that we want to do for our pedestrian crossing? Because we've been talking about that quite a bit. We've been talking about the paint on Grand River and Putnam. We've been talking about new signals on the corners to keep our pedestrians safe. So where does that now fall in a timeline?
So as far as the work on Grand River, they asked us to stand on a little bit until they have final plans done, because there are improvements coming as part of the signal, and including the pedestrian activators for the signal. So that is part of the project.
Okay.
So they had asked that we would hold off on that, but then back to like North and South Putnam, on our timeline, we could do the stamped asphalt if we choose. We just would have to coordinate with that with them. But we really want to figure out the turn lane situation first, because we can improve the crossings, but I don't want to come back 6 months later and then add a turn lane.
Right. Okay. Right.
So can we, the red brick pedestrian crossing things, even Weberville has that, right?
Even Weberville has that, yes.
Even, so what do we have to do to upgrade ours to equal Weber?
Just pay for it,
Okay.
and that's really anytime there's any changes. Even the mast arms, those are an enhancement to their project. The original bid had just the string and the signal, so once
We
they
have
have
to pay for it.
correct.
We have 300 and something thousand in the major road diet, is that where budget, is that where we come from? Is that
Well, we can talk more definitive numbers, but you know we got to like balance out. We also have road projects that we want to do,
yeah.
so
Okay.
there's that part.
All right. Yes, Scott.
Yeah, I think the information in the past tells us that there has to be something going on there that says there's more going on than facts.
Right.
Something has to be, remind people in a visual, strong visual way, whatever that is, you know, that has to happen. And as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you for that update, I appreciate that. Moving along on our agenda, we did not receive any correspondence, so we'll move along to our department head reports. We do have a memo in here from our city manager, John Hannafin, so I'll go back over to him so he can give us those updates.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. We are having a joint work session with TIFA EDC here in these chambers a week from today at 6 o'clock. That's a public meeting. And then we have our fiscal year vision session on Tuesday, February 24th at 6 p.m. And as of now, that will also be in this room.
All right, thank you. Moving down the list, we've got Chief here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I submitted the monthly police report for January of '26, has the monthly statistics, and just the department highlights. We continue to attend mostly basketball games right now. A few of the officers have been to volleyball games, I believe. All staff attended training, with the exception of night shift, on swatting and hoax calls. It was a distance learning training put on by the U.S. Secret Service and FBI. It was really good. And all staff continue to attend NCOLS, Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, continuing professional education training, which was mandated 2 years ago, that we all received 24 hours of training. So they continue to do that throughout the year.
Excellent, great. Off to a good start of the year. Yes, Terry?
I noticed that there's an uptick in property checks. Is that to do with the older people when they're in checking to be sure that they're okay? And
That is correct.
speaking as an older person.
That and a lot of midwinter vacations, but yeah, a few, most of them are people leaving for their winter.
Excellent. We also have our report in here from Livingston County Department of Building and Safety Engineering for any new or renovation construction that's going on in our residential and in our business districts. If you have questions regarding this report from Livingston County, please reach out to our city manager, John Hannafin, and he will get those questions answered for you. And it looks like we've got a little bit of information in here regarding our finances. If you have questions regarding that, again, reach out to City Manager John Hannafin. He can get with our city treasurer and get those answers for you. Moving along on our agenda, our committee and subcommittee reports. Does anybody have anything they'd like to report on from their meetings this month?
I have NISA coming up this week, and they're going to be electing board members, the chairman and the council and the secretary and so forth. And then they're also going to appoint, I think, not this month, but it's next month, they're going to have the members of the finance committee and the personnel committee. I think I'd like to be in the finance committee because that's the important thing with NISA, but I'm not sure how that process works. Did you ever try to get on the finance committee with the NISA thing?
I was not. I was on the personnel committee, and I believe it's just, I was asked to be on it.
You were asked by the...
Yes.
Nominate yourself. Nominate yourself for finance.
That's
Tell
my
them you're
intention,
interested.
I guess,
Yeah.
but I want to know how much trouble I'm going to get into with this. And they laugh. Okay, that's the answer I'm looking
worst
for.
they
Thank
can-
you.
The worst they can do is say no, Terry. But yeah, put yourself out there. I'd love to see you on the finance committee. So you've got my endorsement if that counts for anything. Anyone else for their meetings?
Yeah,
Tim?
we had the planning commission,
Yes.
it was pretty good. We talked about, all the possibilities of what could go into an ordinance when it comes to the data centers,
Great.
with the battery storage and all that type of thing. And put something together, I think we're gonna present about April,
Great.
about
Excellent.
it, so.
Good.
It was pretty.
Excellent, great. Anyone else? All right, moving along, we have an opportunity again for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. If there's anybody that would like to come forward at this time. You could state your name for us, please, for our documentation.
Andrew Keller, 2386 Raleigh Road. City of Williamston for a while now has been signaling to developers around the state of Michigan that developers are welcome to come to Williamston and build here and build whatever they want because Williamston won't stop them. This is the latest example that I have that's worth sharing. Feel free to take one and pass it down. This involves Riverwalk on Raleigh Road. We registered a site plan violation in October, and it still has not been addressed. as shown by the photos. There's before and after photos that show the violation, and then there's a today photo from literally today showing that nothing has changed. I also have correspondence with the city indicating in relatively no uncertain terms that it is the city's opinion that this is not a violation and it won't be fixed. I don't want this look for Williamston. I think it attracts the wrong kind of developer to build here. I prefer developers that follow site plans. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. All right, any other audience participation at this point? Come forward, state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Christina Medoff and I'm at 2386 Rowley Road. I've been a tax-paying resident of the city of Williamston for 14 years. I have worked with 3 city managers on various projects, and John is the first one where I have had to hire attorneys because he is unable or unwilling to do his job. My understanding is that council will be talking tonight about the city manager's performance, and I'd like to remind you that if you lived in my home, you would be livid. In October, we notified the city manager within hours of a site plan violation at the Riverwalk Oakwood construction. That's clear as day. A site plan violation that he refuses to acknowledge to this day for reasons that are unbeknownst to us. Now, I don't really care if him and the developer are best friends, if they're golf buddies, if they're soccer dads, or if they're just exchanging money for professional favors. I want him to start doing his job. And that starts with more accurate manager reports. Every manager report has been extremely favorable to the Riverwalk Oakwood development, with no mention of the resident complaints about site plan violations, with no mention of Oakwood running generators all night long, or blocking Ingham County roads requiring the road commission to come and issue fines, or damage that's been done to the city roads, in particular to Fox Run Court, and what the plan is to fix the roads, and who's going to pay for those roads. And we know from his November 4th Planning Commission meeting that he's capable of giving a very biased and offensive manager report as it pertains to the Riverwalk development. And that's not the kind of report I'm asking. I'm asking for an accurate, a reflection of reality. And I don't think that that's too much to ask moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for audience participation at this time? All right, council member comments. I'll start down here with Tim. All right, Scott?
No.
All right, Terry, or Steve? Just jump
Whatever.
right over.
Whoever that guy is.
Yeah, Steve.
Well, I have a lot of respect for you for doing that. That's good.
All right, John?
No.
All right. I am looking for a motion to go into closed session for our city manager performance review. Do I have a motion, please?
Move to go into closed session?
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Holly, will you call the roll?
Haynes,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
All right, we will go ahead and exit our regular council session at 6:38. Yep. All right, I'd like to go ahead and call our open session back to order at 7:23. We are not taking any action from our closed session, so I will go ahead and adjourn at 7:23.